Now, the UN's raising the alarm over reports that airstrikes by the US-led coalition have killed dozens of civilians in the Syrian city of Raqqa.
Yesterday, unconfirmed reports indicate that over 30 people were reportedly killed in the Al-Sakini neighborhood, while 8 internally displaced people from the same family were killed in a separate attack in another part of the city. In recent days and weeks, scores of civilians have reportedly been killed and injured in Raqqa due to airstrikes and shelling.
When you first hear some of these reports, it's easy to believe that they're exaggerations. Take a recent one where the US-led coalition is accused of bombing a house packed with civilians, killing dozens and dozens of innocents, leaving more bodies buried under the rubble. And then multiple sources begin repeating the same reports. Footage begins to emerge, videos, pictures that supports these reports and these claims. Wanting to know more, RT traveled to a hospital and, you know, witness and survivor testimonies, anything to go by. These things happen regularly.
We were directly targeted by the coalition. It was very clear that there were no insurgents in the area. There were children playing in the streets and we were carrying water from a tap. Our house and civilian homes were directly targeted.
Or reports about the use of white phosphorus, civilian areas being peppered with chemical weapons.
We heard that the coalition used white phosphorus near Raqqa. It was dropped by the warplanes. Who else could have done it? It had to be the planes. They were targeting a civilian neighborhood.
We've contacted the US-led coalition asking them to comment on some of these allegations, and we got the standard response that they're taking all of this very seriously and that they're investigating. Concurrently, one of the de facto leaders of the US-led coalition is actually in Erbil with us, James Mattis, the US Secretary of Defense, and he's, well, optimistic.
We will continue standing by the Iraqi people and their military, make for a brighter future, maintain the stability that will have been earned at a very, very high price.
A very high cost hardly does justice to how much Iraqis have lost and sacrificed during this struggle. Take Mosul, an hour's drive from us, once a city of 2 million, now reduced to largely a wreck, abandoned by its people. Just west of that is Tal Afar. And while James Mattis is optimistic here in Erbil, 2 hours drive from here, his jets are pounding another community. Tens of thousands of people are trapped now in a new war zone. The Iraqi military, the US-led coalition, are trying to push ISIS out of Tal Afar. The conditions there are said to be desperate. Food is scarce, medicine and even drinking water are running out.
People are in chaos. Everything in our life is destroyed. This is my mother. She could not walk, so I put her over my shoulder and we walked like that for 13 hours. But now we are here and we have nothing.
Life here is difficult. There is no air conditioning, there is no food. We pay for our own food. We are at the transit center, so there is no money and no jobs.
At the end of the day, there's little doubt that ISIS in Iraq will be defeated, albeit at a tremendous cost. But the US-led coalition and the Iraqi military have demonstrated that it is a price they will let the civilians of Iraq pay.
Well, let's delve deeper into the story now and bring in our guest, Sara Alzawqari, the spokesperson for the International Committee of the Red Cross for Baghdad. Ms. Alzawqari, welcome to the programme. Now, the UN is reporting that the flow of refugees from the Iraqi city of Tal Afar is only going to get worse. Are there sources of aid on the ground to help them?
Thank you for having me on your show. This is true, especially in the past few days and a week. Exactly, the flow of people leaving Tal Afar has increased. The people that we meet either near the camps or in some of the intermediate areas are in very bad condition. They are very dehydrated, they are frustrated, they walked for very long hours. Average walking is almost 15 to 20 hours, which means that they have to leave a family behind, especially children and elderly people. They haven't had food for weeks. They even, drinking unclean water. So it was very difficult for the people, and we're expecting, of course, the flow of the people to increase in the next couple of weeks as the operations increase as well. Now, aid on the ground, first of all, we just need to remember that Tal Afar and the area around Tal Afar is quite a remote area. The areas around it are almost like desert. And of course, the security situation is difficult. But for example, as the ICRC, that did not stop us. There is an informal settlement very close for the people who left Tal Afar, who started leaving from April. They made their own settlements in a place called Tal al-Jarabiyah. And that area was completely remote, and the people over there were in very bad conditions. We managed to access the area twice and deliver food and emergency relief items. Now, of course, the people who are going into the camps will get as well aid, but the people who are trapped inside the city, this is going to be a very big challenge.
What about the people who are still trapped inside Tal Afar? We're talking about 40,000 people who need drinking water, who need medicines. Is there any way to provide assistance to the people still there?
I think as ICRC and other NGOs, we remain ready that as soon as there is a way for us or safe pathways or any passages that we can provide aid to the people who are trapped, we will be there and to give. But until now, there are no safe passages for civilians to flee or for aid agencies to enter. It's a military zone. The battle, of course, is going to get even more intense. The people who are fleeing, they already took a risk to flee. Many of them as well fled at night while being shot at. So it's not... it's very difficult.
If we move on to the liberation of the Iraqi city of Mosul, you recently visited that city yourself. Is it true that it's now in ruins?
If we talk about West Mosul, the old city and some of the neighborhoods, yes. The entire place, there's a lot of rubble, a lot of destructions, the infrastructure, hospitals, roads, houses. When you just go in the car around the city, you can see the amount of destruction is very high and intense. And of course, it's very difficult for the people as well who want to return, because not only is the infrastructure and houses are destroyed, but of course there is a lot of remnants of war. There is improvised unexplosive devices and explosives almost everywhere, and booby traps. We've met a lot of families who tried to go home, and as soon as they open the door, explosives come through, or kids who step on mines. Every single step you kind of take inside the old city of Mosul or in some of the neighborhoods in West Mosul, it's a risk. It's a huge risk, and the people there's not the majority of the people of Mosul are still in IDP camps. So most of them are, more than 700,000 people are still outside the city. 90,000 and plus have returned to West Mosul, but they're living in partially destroyed houses.
Yeah.
And of course, it's very dangerous. We are doing now a lot of aid relief, and we're giving food and hygiene kits, and anything that might help them to start living normally. Of course, it's hard. It's not easy.